Hello and welcome back to my channel and to another week of family meal ideas. This video is the result of the week that I shopped my cupboards and did a really minimal food shop. I pulled everything out of my freezers, my fridge, I went through it all and I made a meal plan. And this week is the result of that week. So if you haven't seen that video, I will leave it linked down below. Can you see the dogs behind me on the sofa? You're not meant to be sleeping on there. They've got a blanket and Siren's like sitting on top of Hobbs. They're just snuggling together. Yeah, so this is a result of that. So if you haven't seen that video, I will leave it linked down below. Make sure you go and watch that and then you can see what I meal planned. It went really well. I managed to use up a lot of stuff. I didn't make every meal that I put on that meal plan, but I did make quite a few, so they're all going to be in this video. So let's go and have a look. So I'm just doing one of my use up meals where I was just like shopping from my store cupboards. So this is a tuna pasta bake. So I had the pasta bake sauce, it's the tomato and bacon one, but I'm using tuna, so never mind. I've also got creme fraiche, probably about a third of a pot of creme fraiche. I'm going to add that. My sauce, I'm going to put some tomato puree and some peas, and then I've got some cheddar to grate on the top, and I'm just boiling my pasta. So I'm going to add my peas in now, like a layer of peas. And I haven't really got any other veg that will go with it. I've got like carrots and broccoli, carrots and cauliflower mix, but I'm not sure that will go. Anyway, so I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna pop in the creme fraiche. I wouldn't add creme fraiche if I didn't already have it in the fridge, but it's gonna go in the bin otherwise, so rather than waste it, I've done a little bit extra pasta. So with the creme fraiche and the tomato puree and some salt and pepper and stuff, it'll go a little bit further, which is good. I'll pop in my jar. This one was from Aldi, is it Aldi? Yeah. I'm cooking my pasta, or like almost cooking it all the way through, like till it's just on the verge of being ready, because it takes a lot of oven like heat to cook a pasta bake. I'd rather use the hob just to boil some of the pasta and then just finish it off in the oven. I'm sure it wastes less energy that way. So I'm going to squeeze this, and then that's that emptied. Mix that through. I'll put a squeeze of lemon juice because that always goes really well with tuna and creme fraiche. I'm thinking I should have used a bigger dish. Story of my life on this channel, honestly. It's all I ever say. Maybe a little pinch of chili flakes would be quite nice in here as well. I'm going to mix it all through. I think I'm going to transfer it to a bigger dish, because even though I've just made myself more washing up, I'm not going to fit all my pasta in here as well. I'm just going to add my pasta and I'll just stir it through, and I will add the grated cheese on top. My pasta's almost cooked, like I said, so I'm probably going to pop it in for around 10-15 minutes just so it finishes cooking and the tuna warms up, the peas get heated through, and the top goes nice and crispy. So here it is out of the oven. The cheese is melted and it's gone quite nice and crispy on top, so I'm just going to serve it and then I'll show you it, although it's not going to look a lot different to it, does it? Here's our pasta bake served up, and I've just done a big bowl of salad in the middle of the table if anyone wants some, and this is what we're having tonight. And here come the crowds. So another one of my using up what I've got in the cupboards meals is this pad thai that I'm going to make. So I've got 1.5 chicken breast here out of the fridge that needed using. I've got some of the ready to wok rice noodles and a Wagamama pad thai sauce. The only vegetables I've got that will go in it is 1 red pepper, 1 courgette. I've got a red chilli I'm going to add, and then I've got 2 red onions. I haven't got any mange tout or anything, but this will do, it's fine, just some veg to go in. So I'm just going to chop it up. I might add a little bit of fish sauce as well, but apart from that, that's pretty much it. So I popped all my veg and my chicken in my wok with a little bit of spray oil, and I'm just going to add a little bit of fish sauce. Not a lot. And then I'm just going to let that cook for a bit before I add my pad thai sauce and my noodles. So here's our pad thai served up. All I did after you last saw was I added in the ready to wok noodles and the Wagamama sauce, and I heated that through. Then we just topped it with some sesame seeds for a little bit of crunch.
And this is what we are having for dinner tonight, and it looks really, really good. I thought I'd film my homemade Scotch eggs. I don't know the last time I filmed them, so I know they're in a lot of videos, but these have turned out really well actually. They've got a really soft yolk, as you can tell. We've got stuffing on the outside, and we've got nice pork mince, and this is what they look like. Well, they are cut, but they're not like split open, so I'll just show you what they look like when you open them. The egg yolk is all runny, and they're just so good. One of our absolute favourite things to eat. You can just see they've just gone really, really well. Nice and soft. Nice coating. I put lots of seasoning in the pork mince. And this is using up some stuff out of our freezer. I'm just starting tonight's dinner, and I'm going to do crispy lemon and herb chicken. So I'm going to use up this packet that I've had in the cupboard for a really, really long time. And I'm going to make it into like chicken burgers. I'm going to do some honey butter bacon to also go in the burgers. It's a HelloFresh recipe that I made before, so I thought I'd try and recreate it. Basically, you put melted butter, garlic and honey in a pan with some crispy bacon, and then you lay that in some brioche buns. So I'm just going to dip the chicken in the egg, then in the breadcrumbs. I'll air fry that. I'm going to cook the bacon in a griddle pan. This is another thing I'm using up out of the freezer, so we're getting rid of lots of stuff. This was August. It has been frozen, so don't worry about the dates. And the chicken obviously was in the freezer as well. And then I'll show you it once I've put it all together. Okay, the honey bacon is cooking. It's gone really nice and crispy. And I've put the garlic in, I've put some butter in, I've put some honey in, and I'm just finishing off my burgers in the oven. I did them in the oven instead because there was too many of them. And some chips. So here are crispy chicken and bacon burgers. The burgers have come out really nice. I'll show you them in a minute, the other ones that are still on the tray. So I've just layered them up with a little bit of light mayo. We've got our garlicky honeyed bacon, our cheese single and our brioche buns. And then I've just got some oven chips in the oven as well, but I thought I would show you what they look like. So here it is on the oven tray. I just thought I'd show you because you can't really see it that well in the burgers. Come out really, really nicely actually. Just I put another little shot in because they look so good. So I'm just starting to make some crumble with the leftover tinned fruit I had in the cupboard. So I've got peach halves in syrup, pineapple slices in juice. I've got some custard that's been in there a really long time and needs using up. So what I'm going to do is make a granola crumble topping because I had loads and loads of granola. So I've got 150 grams of tropical granola, so it's got bananas and pineapple chunks and things. I've got 75 grams of butter or margarine, 50 grams of brown sugar, and 75 grams of plain flour. So this is going to be my crumble topping, and I'm just going to layer this out in a dish, and then we're going to put it all together and pop it in the oven. So we've transferred it back into the dish that we made the topping in because otherwise we weren't going to have enough, like deep enough crumble. So now it's all mixed together. We're just going to sprinkle it over the top. I am just winging it, no idea if this is going to work or not. And then we're just going to spread it out. Steve's cracking walnuts in the background. And then I'm going to pop it in the oven for, I don't know, probably about half an hour. I'll push it down a bit so that it kind of sticks together a little bit. And then we'll have a peach and pineapple granola topped crumble. Here's our crumble out of the oven. It's gone really, really nice and crispy on top. I'm really pleased with how it's come out actually, because I was really doubting this method of using tinned fruit and granola. But yeah, it looks really good. It's very, very hot. You can see it's really bubbling underneath. So I'm going to let it set for a little while because I think it needs to sort of solidify a bit. So I'll show you it once I've served it with some custard. So here it is with some custard, and I can't really show you the inside now, but I'll show you the inside. It looks really good actually, and that's the inside of the crumble. So I'm just making tonight's dinner, and I'm making a Bolognese Risotto. I've never made a Bolognese Risotto before, so I found this recipe online. I will leave it linked in the description box in case you want to try it. But basically in here I've got 1 onion and a couple of cloves of chopped garlic. Then I've got my beef mince that I've popped in, and in a minute I'm going to add in some risotto rice. Then I'm going to pour over some beef stock, a little bit of soy sauce, some tinned tomatoes, and we're going to let it all cook together, and then we're just basically going to serve it with some grated cheese on top, I believe. Just let the rice absorb all the stock and things. Like I said, I've never made it, but it seems very, very simple, so I like simple, and it's using up the mince that needed using and also the risotto rice that I've had for ages. So I'm going to let that brown a bit, and then I'm going to pop in my rice. I'll show you as I go along. Right, so I'm going to add in my risotto rice. I'm using just over 300 grams. And I need to stir that through for a couple of minutes so that it starts to absorb some of the juices from the beef, and the beef needs to continue to brown. Seems very strange doing it like this. I might add a little bit of tomato puree as well, because I always have to add something to the recipe. I'm going to add my beef stock and a tiny bit of soy sauce. I've got about 700ml of beef stock. And then I'm also going to add my tin of tomatoes. And then it says stir frequently for the next 20 to 25 minutes. Apparently that is it. I'm also going to add a big squeeze of tomato puree. It doesn't look very appetising. It's probably just going to be a big blob. Bit of tomato puree in there as well for some flavour. And just mix it through and let it cook for the next 25 minutes or so, and apparently that's it. So here is the Bolognese risotto dished up. It actually tastes really nice and creamy. I'll definitely make it again, and I would definitely add the tomato puree to the recipe that I'll leave linked down below, because it needed a little bit extra. So I've just grated a little bit of cheddar cheese on top, and this is what's for dinner tonight. So I'm just starting tonight's dinner, and I'm going to be making a slow cooker mixed bean and lentil chili. So in here I've got haricot beans and chickpeas. These were the dried versions, so they've been soaking overnight, otherwise they're too hard to use. So I've got those to use up. I've got 2 tins of plum tomatoes, 2 onions, I've got 2 of the chili mixes, and about 100 grams of red lentils. I'm also going to pop in a red wine stock pot just because it's floating around and I need to use it up. So I'm basically just going to bung all this in the slow cooker and pop it on low until sort of 6 o'clock-ish tonight. I don't even know what the time is now. It's nearly 10, so it'll have a good 8 hours cooking. I was going to put some peppers in it, but I haven't decided yet whether to put them in it or whether to have some roasted peppers and like roasted veg with it. So I'm unsure, but all this is going to go in the slow cooker and I'll show you once I'm done. Right, so I've put all my bits and pieces together, and I've decided to add a courgette and 2 peppers in as well, a red one and like a greeny yellow kind of one, because they're in the fridge, and it's always good to add a little bit of like extra veg, isn't it, into these things. So I've got all my mixed beans, I've got my red wine stock pot, I've got my chili seasonings. I'm not adding any salt or pepper because we can add that afterwards if we need to. It's quite dry. I did rinse out the tomato tins, and I would normally add more water if I was doing this on the hob, because I know the red lentils are going to suck up some of the liquid. But with slow cookers, the best thing to do is add less liquid than you think you're going to need. And also with the peppers and courgettes, once they get cooking, they'll release some liquid as well. So I'm just going to leave this. I'll probably check on it in a few hours, and then in case my battery ran out. But what I was going to say is I'm going to check this in a few hours, and then I can always add some water if I need to. I probably will have to, because the lentils obviously do soak up a lot. But like I said, sometimes with slow cookers, if you add too much at the beginning, you end up with like a soupy slop, and the best thing to do is play it by ear really and see. So I'm going to leave it as it is, give it a couple of hours, and then I might add a little bit of water. But apart from that, it's done, and it's completely meat free, very high protein, lots and lots of fibre, and also very, very cheap. So yeah, this is going to be a good one. So the chili is done, and it's come out really nicely actually. It's gone really nice and thick. I did add 1 glass of water to it about halfway through because it was looking a little bit dry. So yeah, it's my massive vat of mixed bean chili, and I'm just going to serve it with some potato wedges for the boys, and then I think Steve and I are probably just going to have it as it is. So here we are served up. This is one of the older boys. They're just going to have some wedges as well because they're always hungry. And yeah, and this is my mixed bean chili, and I planned for it to make 5 portions. It's probably made nearer to 8. Leftovers tomorrow, yeah.
So as part of my use up week, I decided that I was going to make some kind of tray bake, like flapjacks or, I don't know, like granola bars or something. Some kind of dessert to use up muesli that I bought that the kids aren't so keen on. I've got all these odds and ends of cereal that nobody seems to want to eat, but I'm just not throwing them away. They're just the bits that are left at the bottom of the cereal packets. I've got some dates which I've been sitting here or standing here pitting and chopping. Golden syrup that I've probably had for about 50 years. And walnuts. The reason I've got so many walnuts is another story. Steve's making vodka. He's actually made vodka. Possibly we'll do a video on that because I'm going to be making a few other festive tipples, so that might be upcoming. So what I've done is I've put a roughly 140 grams of syrup and 140 grams of butter in a pan, and I'm going to melt that, and then I'm going to pop all this in a bowl, mix it together, and pop it in the fridge. I've also got marshmallows and chocolate chips in the cupboard. I don't know if I need to add anything else or not, but I'm just going to see how we go. So I'm not really measuring anything, I'm just going to shake some bits in. I'm not sure how this is going to work. In all my dates. A handful of walnuts, maybe a few more, because we do have a ton. So that's my dry mix. I don't know if to add chocolate chips or not. So I've just opened my cupboard and I've got this left over from a hot chocolate station I did. So there's mini marshmallows, chocolate chips and bits of flake. So what I might do is add this into my butter and golden syrup mixture because it will help everything stick together. If I find I've got too much wet mixture, I can also add some more cereal in that because I'm going to end up making a massive batch of these. So I've got my butter and golden syrup in there, and I'm just going to stick this in as well because it's been in the cupboard a fair while, and the whole point of this was to be using stuff up that's just hung around for too long. So I'm hoping that this will eventually all melt together and be enough to coat my dry ingredients and make some bars. I don't know. I'm sure the kids will eat them. So everything's melted apart from the marshmallows, but I think it just needs to get a little bit hotter. And it smells really good. Okay, so it's almost completely melted, but I've left some marshmallow bits sort of just softening so that we get some nice, hopefully like chewy bits in the mixture. So I'm just going to pour the whole thing in. I may need to add some more dry mix, but I'll mix it together and see. And then I'm just going to pop it in a baking tray that I've lined with baking paper, and it's going to go in the fridge. I have no room in my fridge, so this will probably be one of the nicest tasting baked bars I've ever made, and I'll never be able to do it again because I have no idea what I put in here. I might add a little bit more. Yeah, that's better, I think. I've got my baking tray. Get a metal spoon and pat it down. Smells so good. I'm just going to push it as far as I can so that it sticks together, and then I'll pop it in the fridge and I'll show you it a bit later on. Here we go, I'm just going to go and pop that in my fridge. So here is my bar out of the fridge. It's set, like completely set. However, it is very, very sticky, like on the other side. It cuts with a really nice crunch, but it is quite sticky. But it has only been in for like 3 hours or so, so I'm wondering if it needs a little bit longer to like harden completely. But yeah, it tastes so good. I've just had a little nibble. There we go, focused. I've had a little nibble. I mean, no doubt it will be eaten and gratefully received anyway, but yeah, it's quite sticky, so I'm definitely going to pop it back in and see if it hardens a little bit more. But yeah, it tastes amazing. So that is it for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this kind of thing, make sure to leave me a like and subscribe if you're not already. Sorry, I can't speak. Subscribe if you're not already. Make sure to go and check out my festive or countdown to Christmas playlist. There's only 2 videos on it at the moment, but if you haven't seen those, go and have a look. I have got lots more planned, and I'll be back really soon with another one. Take care, guys, and bye from the dogs. Hello? Are you comfortable? Yeah? Are you sleeping? Say goodbye. Pop it. Say goodbye.
Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too.